Okay, everybody. Good morning. This is Frank Melville. Welcome to our webinar. Today's webinar is titled Hosted versus Premise Phone Systems Explained. This webinar was in high demand. People have been asking us about this for quite some time. The webinar today is geared more toward the hotelier. We noticed from the registrations that most of the people registered were hoteliers, although we do have a number of phone suite and voiceware resellers on board. We are PhoneSuite, phonesuite.com on the web, and we have a product called VoiceWare that is an IP PBX, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go along here. If you're sitting in this webinar and the title attracted you, you may be one of the hoteliers who is standing there saying, hey, on the one hand, I've got these phone systems I'm used to, they're premise-based, and yet I hear all these people telling me I need to go hosted. What's it all about? Why? I don't even understand what hosted is. Well, today we're going to explain that to you in the webinar. So let's get started. It seems like everything's moving to the cloud. Your property management system companies are all moving their applications to the cloud and calling it hosted, and so are a lot of other things. In fact, from the cloud, we're getting tons of our information and content these days. It's not just Twitter, YouTube for videos, or Netflix for streaming video, or your music, but more and more business applications are moving to the cloud. Salesforce, many accounting packages now, and there are advantages, obviously, and disadvantages. And we're going to examine today how that applies to our hotel phone system. Well, let's start with the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web is a giant network, a giant LAN or a network of servers. And those servers have information on them, and they have applications on them. So they have programs that can run, and they have data and information that can be sent to them or can be sent down from them. And today, anybody with a computer that has access to the World Wide Web or the Internet or the cloud can get to just about any one of these servers out there just by typing a web address of the server. And the information and the applications that are available on that server are all available to you no matter where you are. That's a wonderful thing for things that we're used to. From our laptop, we can, like we were talking about earlier, get video, get information, get data about our customers to our business through the Internet. And again, anything on the World Wide Web, anything out there on the Internet is available to us if we have the right passwords, etc. So what it boils down to when we're talking about premise versus hosted is premise is a network with servers that have applications or programs and data that is within your facility or within your hotel, think of it. And a hosted solution or a cloud-based solution, we're going to say hosted today because that's the title, is a solution where the application and or the data is in a server somewhere up here in the cloud, for example, and you get to it through your Internet connection, and so can just about anybody else out there on the World Wide Web with a connection to the Internet. So that's very simple. We all probably know that, but what in the world does the cloud or this word hosted have to do with not just my hotel, but a hotel phone system, really? I mean, how can a hotel phone system be hosted? Well, let's look at your hotel phone system. Right now, somewhere in your hotel, you probably have a PBX. It's in a closet somewhere. You may be storing toilet paper and soap on it. But in your hotel, there is a PBX in a cabinet that is driving all of the phones in your hotel. So not just these administrative phones on all of your admin desks and at the front desk and maybe that console, but also in your guest room, you've got the standard bedside guest room phone, and they're all being driven by that PBX. That is a premise-based solution. Your hotel has a premise-based PBX right now. Well, still don't get it. How in the world can we get that thing up into the cloud? Well, the way we get it up into the cloud starts with VoIP. VoIP, or voice over IP, is basically just a way to take voice, digitize it like it's done today with, and has been done in the past with standard phone systems, and then put it into packets or into the data format that can be transmitted over the Internet. And the biggest driver, I think, or the initial reason that VoIP became popular was Skype or things like Skype, where sitting at my computer connected to the internet, my voice and even video gets digitized and then packetized in such a way that it can be sent over the internet, received anywhere in the world, and undigitized, so playback as visible video and audio that a regular person can hear. And those packets are just flying over the internet, and you've got a communication using just the internet, no more phone lines to get that conversation done. So what that means for business is VoIP for Business allows all of these different ways of communicating, mobile voice devices, regular telephones, even through your PC or a video phone, from your home office or from your normal business. You can speak, have it digitized, have it sent as a VoIP packet over the internet and received just about anywhere. I mean, that's basically what is behind VoIP. And in any VoIP-based system, at the center of it here, there is an IP PBX. And there's the answer to our question. How in the world am I going to put my solution in the cloud? Well, it starts with VoIP and an IP PBX. So if you were to take a look at your hotel today and the phone system in your hotel that we already looked at, down in the basement you've got that old PBX. We're going to get rid of that, and we're going to replace it with an IP PBX. And again, an IP PBX, it's just a server running a PBX application. All of the brains, all of the intelligence that was in your old PBX, and was proprietary, by the way, and only ran on that PBX, can now be placed in the server. And in this diagram here in your hotel, in your data room, it's just a 1U server in the rack with all kinds of other data equipment. The rest of the equipment in this picture here is not got anything to do with the phone system, perhaps. It's switches and backup systems and other LAN required equipment to run other things in your hotel. So we've got a simple 1U server in a rack. And so now in my hotel, I still have a premise-based solution. Even though it's an IP PBX and VoIP-based, I've got a premise-based solution. Well, it doesn't take a whole lot to recognize that the answer to our question, what does hosted have to do with a hotel phone system, is if you take that server and the application and you throw it up in the cloud, because of course all of our hotels are connected to the internet now, there's no shortage of companies out there who are offering an IP PBX solution. Most of them are not hotel oriented, and be careful here, but there are some hotel-oriented, hosted IP PBX applications out there. So the server and the application is up in the cloud. And that means, of course, that your hotel has to be connected to the internet in order for that to work. So there's the answer for the difference between what is premise-based and hosted. But who wants this? And why do they want it? Well, the answer to this is pretty simple. Who wants it is, right now, IHG, Intercontinental Hotels Group, Hilton, and Marriott are all telling us that they are pushing only hosted PBX initiatives. And what that means for us and you, but us especially, is that they will only approve new vendors going forward that offer a hosted solution. Traditional PBX vendors are being phased out. You need to offer a hosted solution in order to be approved and usable by the managed and owned properties of these three groups, and others will follow suit, no doubt. So that's who, of course, along with all the internet pundits are also pushing it. But why are they pushing it? Well, the answer used to be, well, it's the future. Voice over IP is the future. Hosted is the future. Move it to the cloud if you can. Well, that's not a very good answer. I mean, we're business people. We need strong business reasons. And, of course, the big business reason is to hit that green save money button. Everybody out there pushing hosted solutions today is going to tell you that you will save money, and at the very least, initially, you will. What we see out there is that you can install a hosted solution for about half the cost of installing a brand new premise-based solution in today's world. How does that happen? Well, basically, you're shifting what used to be a big capital expenditure, the PBX, including not all the things that are attached to it, like the phones and the consoles, the PMS interface, but also the PBX itself and the software that makes it run can get shifted from a capital expenditure to a monthly expense or an OPEX money. And so, yeah, you still will spend money over time because you need to pay monthly to have that service continue to your hotel. But the initial cost is lower, no question about it. Okay, so boy, we're at our summary and conclusion pretty quickly here, but this is where we're going to spend most of our time. We've got hosted and we've got premise-based, and what should you be thinking about with those? Well, we're going to take a look at, starting with a cloud-based or hosted, what are the hot points with a hosted solution? The first is, as we mentioned here, the new system upfront cost is about half. You've shifted all of this capital expenditure to operational expenditure, and you didn't have to go get a lease or get qualified or have your credit checked to do it probably. So now you're going to pay monthly for that IP PBX software and service and the data that flows back and forth and the connection. That's the main difference, other than the fact that the system itself is not located on your property, is the main difference between hosted and premise-based. Because it's hosted and it's up in the cloud, someone else is taking care of that hardware and software. That means that all the upgrades to the software happen automatically, and you get them for quote-unquote free. Not really free because you're paying that monthly fee, but you don't pay anything extra to always have the latest and greatest version. Of course, it requires dependable high-speed internet access for this to work. Your connection to your IP PBX is through your internet connection, your high-speed internet access. So that needs to be dependable. And what that probably also means is that you need some kind of redundancy in case that fails, maybe an on-site backup server. So, oh my gosh, you mean I'm going to get hosted and I may still have a premise-based IP PBX mini server running things? If you look at Hilton's definition for what that solution should look like today, yes, absolutely, that's what they're requiring. So you will still need something local. One neat thing, perhaps, is that if we're all using non-proprietary hardware in our hotel and connected to a solution up in the cloud, a hosted solution, you can change to a different provider once your contract is out, similar to the way you can change your long-distance provider or your internet provider today. If 2 years down the road your contract is up and you want to try a different solution, or you want to buy out of your contract and try a better solution, you can change pretty easily. And the last hot point, which is not a positive but a definite consideration we all need to be thinking about, is security and privacy. If the system, if the PBX is located in the cloud, that means all of the data that is contained in the PBX is accessible from anyone on the internet if they have the right credentials. And hackers have broken into systems like this. So you've got some privacy issues, especially if, for example, your PMS is located in the cloud and your PBX is located in the cloud, and the PMS sends to the PBX through the internet a checking command. Today, what we see is because that technology hasn't evolved for the PMS interface as fast as it should have, the guest name and room number are sent unprotected, unencrypted, just as regular text over the internet. And that's an issue that needs to be addressed, but you need to be thinking about security. What happens if the system is breached? So there are your hosted hot points. Your premise-based hot points include, number one, it's still a premise-based PBX. Works much like it did in the past, except for now it's an IP PBX, but you do buy it outright, or you can lease it if you want to go for finance. You can still turn that into OpEx with a lease just like you have in the past. Now the maintenance and upgrade costs are yours, and there is a cost to keep the thing running out of warranty, and if you want to upgrade the software with new features, there may be a cost for that. Now there are maintenance programs that may be less expensive than a hosted monthly fee. You need to look into that as part of what you're doing when you do the analysis. There is possibility that there are no ongoing fees. If you don't get a maintenance program, you just purchase it outright and you're happy with what the software does and you're sure you'll be happy with it for the next 10 years, then you won't be paying a monthly fee and you're not on the hook to pay that fee to keep your system running. And it runs with or without high-speed internet access connection. So whether or not you have your high-speed internet access up, the system will run. You don't need a backup in place to run the system if you lose the internet. Your provider, the company that built the system and created the software, they can fail or they can shut down or they can have a big outage and your system will keep running. And that is another premise hot point. Since most of the solution is on-site anyway, what do I mean by that? Well, your phones are all still on-site. You can't put the phones themselves in the cloud. And the equipment that's needed to run those phones is still on-site. So a good chunk of the solution is on-site anyway. Why do you get a huge advantage out of putting just one piece of it, the PBX piece of it, into the cloud? And there are pros and cons to that. Obviously, you need to consider all of these bullet points to determine whether or not that argument holds water for you. But basically, a premise-based IP PBX is the same as you're used to now. It's just a VoIP-based system instead of being a TDM-based system. So there are the hot points. There's the things to think about when you are looking at whether or not you want a premise-based or a hosted solution for your property. We're going to take questions now, and we've got a little box near the bottom with a little plus sign by it that says question, and you can just pop that open and ask a question if you have a question for us to answer now. In the meantime, oh, here's one question. Can a traditional PBX be hosted? No, it can't. A traditional PBX has got to be on site and connected directly to the phones that it's driving. So no, you can't have a old-style PBX that's hosted. Good question, or interesting question. I'm looking for any other questions out there. That's the only one so far. In the meantime, I'll give you a little bit of food for thought. We are Phone Suite. We have a product called VoiceWare, and our VoiceWare product is an IP PBX that can run on-premise if you like it running on-premise. It can run hosted up in the cloud if you prefer the cloud-based solution. You can even get a premise-based solution that we bill you for as though it were a hosted solution if you're more comfortable with the premise-based non-internet dependability, but you like the idea of paying a monthly fee rather than purchasing it outright and maybe paying only about half for the equipment up front than you would otherwise. And finally, we do have VoiceWare running in what looks like a traditional PBX. It's really a hybrid, so it can still drive all the analog desks from phones you're used to. It can still interface to the PMS the way you're used to. You don't have to go upgrade a bunch of other things if you need to replace your phone system, but you want all of those old analog connections, including your phone lines, your fax, your property management system, etc. Okay, well, there are no other questions. I hope everybody enjoyed. Oh, as soon as I say that, a question pops in. Never mind. This is not a general question. Someone is looking for the hosted price and the monthly price lists or some kind of pricing tools. And Betty Ann, the best thing to do is to contact us. In fact, you can just email sales@phonesuite.com, or I will have one of our salespeople track you down because we did get your email address. And if you can just give us the number of rooms you're looking at, we can give you 3 or 4 different options that you can look at. John is asking, will the solutions that have a hosted and on-premise backup together with those, what are the costs on the premise-based system? Well, the way we've modeled it and the way most of them we believe are modeling it is to fold the cost of that piece of equipment into the monthly fee, so you don't have to buy that piece of equipment. If you do, it should be in the $1,000, maximum $2,000 range, but it can be folded into the monthly hosting fee. And much like your high-speed internet access, which is brought into your building on a wire, but then has a little device, a modem of some kind, to convert it into Ethernet, you don't own that. The company that provides the service does. Similar kind of model. There's that backup or premise-based piece may be put into place at no cost to you. It's just part of providing the service. Betty Ann, I see your answer here, and so we'll get you a quote on 18 rooms with 6 admin phones and look at it all different ways. No other questions out there. We will wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Please note that on YouTube, on the Phone Suite channel, we have all of our webinars posted there, and you can get a slightly edited, maybe shorter version of each of these webinars on the YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We look forward to presenting our next webinar in about 2 weeks. Thanks.